All right, guys, Weston here, Mr. Security Cares. Today we're going to talk about how you get started. You guys go around the internet, you're looking up stuff, you want to know how to get started. It's got to be the number one question asked in all the forums, all the YouTube videos, they're all covering it. So I just want to give you my take on it and tell you what I've kind of pieced together here. So first of all, they'll probably come at you with, oh, you need CompTIA, right? And CompTIA starts with the A+, you can see it over here. A plus is pretty much looking at hardware. There's a little bit more to it, but not much at all. It gives you a little bit of an introduction to networking and other things. A plus you're probably only going to want if you're shooting for, let's say, help desk, or if you're at a physical retail store and you're going to be working with the hardware, right? So any job like that, this might be okay at the beginning level, but in general, unless you're really shooting for that targeted job and they say that you have to be A plus, I would recommend you just learn the material, and depending on what you're doing exactly or what your goal is, you might even more or less skip it. If you've built a computer, I mean, you don't know all of it by far, but you know enough to you know what the parts of a computer are, right? And that's the basic easiest part of the A plus, and you can show up and you know what the parts do. So that's important, but what's probably more important is networking. Networking is, remember, we're talking computer system networking, not your social network. Anyway, Network Plus is a good start, really good start. It's the pretty much easiest one out there for learning networking, and you should learn this stuff. I did not take the Network Plus. If you're gonna get hard into networking, you might want to take it. A lot of people recommend CCNA path. That's up to you. But either way, you're gonna have to know about networking. So do what you can. Most of this stuff, if you find a decent book, if you find some solid tutorials, you can learn this stuff on your own. It's not particularly quick. It's a little deeper than most beginners think it is, and it can cause some people to give up just because of the vast knowledge that there is, vast amount of stuff out there. So I recommend that if you think you need some hardware training, maybe go with it A plus. Network Plus information you're going to need to know, but whether you get it from the Network Plus or you get it from any other training, CCNA, etc. So consider that. But I think if you're really shooting for the technical side of cyber, you can just start with Linux. Most people these days don't have any clue about Linux, right? Most people have never run it. Most people are not used to it, especially if you don't have the GUI, right? The graphical user interface. That makes it feel like Windows, but if you don't have that, you're going to be using keyboard commands all the time, like the command line in Windows, if you're familiar with that. So anyway, I think Linux might be the best place to start. Get the basics down. If you want to chase a certification, go for it, but it's probably, depending on your role, and assuming you want to be technical, it very well could be a very important part of your job, is understanding the foundations of Linux. And the last one, people don't really talk about much, but this is just my take. You can kind of, if you're not so technical and you want to be more on the business side, GRC is pretty good. Government risk and compliance. It's basically just making sure that they're following the rules, right? It's your literal job to say, hey, we have to be this safe. You go in there, you check boxes, you talk to people, you make sure things are being done right. So it's essential to businesses, and I know if you're on this channel, that's probably not your cup of tea. A lot of people who are more technical orientated, they do not want to deal with this, as it's heavier on the business side, but it's just a third possibility. And I think these areas cover most of the basics of where you want to be starting when you get into cybersecurity. So leave your questions in the comments, and we'll talk to you next time.